Hi and welcome to the Monday Live, and we're all back from our respective activities. I've come back from the Ardington, and we had a good time there. It's down in Worthing, had a small group, but that's the reason why I was not on the charity run. So let's just have a quick look at the picture there. There's the medals, and you'll notice there's two medals on Alfie and his fellow competitors because they went round twice. Yes, they managed to I think he enjoyed it so much that dragged them around twice. So amazing effort from them. And we're also raising money in a variety of ways as well. BMB, we added some money in as well. So at the moment, I think he's raised over £1,600, so that's brilliant, and that's in the same sort of bucket as it were as the whole of the EBU charity, not celebrations but efforts, which have been brilliant, I have to say. They really have been, and it's lovely to see that what bridge can do. It always did in the past. It used to be charity bridge drives, didn't it? It used to be bridge drives, rubber bridge, sometimes duplicate and that kind of thing. And since COVID, those have quietened down a bit. But you've got the cafe bridge events, of course, and there's so many different ways you can raise money, and bridge has always been a great way of doing that. So let's keep that going. I think that's a good thing. And as I say, I think I mentioned, but we're going to Denham next weekend, and we're going to have some cakes there. I'm going to take up my chocolate brownies, which are of course gluten-free, and I think Megan and Katrina are both baking cakes as well. Don't know if Katie's stretching that far. We'll find out. So we'll have lots of cakes, which will be available for everybody who's there, and hopefully we'll get a few donations for that as well. So we will see. So very much an exciting week. I think I had two tired family members though by Sunday evening. They were both very tired, but they had done an excellent job. So where are we? Well, we are the last day of Preemptember, so we'll look at a few more week twos and carry on preempting, of course. But tomorrow we go into Greedober, and Greedober, of course, is when we focus on the game of duplicate pairs, and where we think about every 10 points counting. And we're following up last year's one in October. Last year we talked about trying to pick the right part score, which is a really tough tactic. Where is one no trump the best, or is two clubs the best, or is three clubs better than two hearts? Comparing the scores, the 10 or 20 points. And the scoring, of course, is a fundamental part of the game. And I know that Nadine's been asking for something on the scoring, and we will put something in the scoring. I'll do a live about it because it is so important, the scoring of duplicate pairs. But this month, in October, we will be looking at the play of the part score contract, because it's all well and good getting to the right part score, but playing it can be tricky. They're very different. Almost all the work we do in play tends to be sometimes in a one no trump, mostly game contracts, sometimes slam. We don't spend much time focusing on the part scores, and also the element of understanding what you're aiming for. So you're in maybe three clubs, and you've got to be aware that perhaps three clubs plus one, for example 130, that would beat one no trump plus one, but three clubs making is less than one no trump plus one, and very subtle. So you're making more tricks, of course. One no trump plus one is 8 tricks, three clubs is 9 tricks, three clubs plus one gets you the top. And so sometimes you'll really risk your contract almost, because you're thinking, I bet you lots of people have finished in no trumps here, and you therefore make a special effort to go further. So we'll be looking at all sorts of things like that next month. Carry on sending your hands in, please, as well, because that helps me. On the Fridays, we're still talking about opening bids. And I've had some really good hands sent in with regard to opening bids, some of which I find I struggle to answer, because that's the thing to remember with bridge as a whole. There's some where there's maybe 4 or 5 right answers, and we've talked about that with week 2s, and we'll be looking at it with the finish of today. When we look at it, there'll be different choices because you play different styles. Okay, so we've got all the usuals. So let's start off with the 5-card decision. We go to the Q plus one here, and some of you will have seen this on Fridays. So you're the opening bidder. As East, for me, when I've got a really strong major, so 2 of the top 3 honours particularly, I tend to like bidding it, and particularly when you have 2 weak suits, I really would recommend opening 1 heart here. Okay, and for me, 1 heart followed by 2 hearts is fine, but you could raise a 1 spade response to 2 spades. And a 2 club bid, you could actually raise that if you chose. So you could make a plan that way. Over 2 diamonds, you rebid 2 hearts. But the point is that when you have 2 weak suits, if you open a no trump and you get passed out in a no trump, very often your opponents will run one of those suits, and you'll find that 1 no trump doesn't score so well. Okay, so I'm going to open 1 heart, and as you're going to see, the auction takes a rather different aspect. You are vulnerable against not here. Okay, your partner makes a splinter bid. North doubles that, and now maybe you could choose to pass. What's interesting is, in a way, you fit with the splinter bid because partner's got a singleton, but actually because you've only got 2, unfortunately, you'll only be able to rough 1 diamond, which is not so good. So you decide to bid 4 hearts. You're not going to go for the slam. However, you get a little bit of a surprise because South bids 5 diamonds, and the auction then comes round to you. Now, it's a bit of a surprise because they haven't bid before, but of course you know they've got at least 10 diamonds between them because your partner has shown a singleton diamond and you've only got 2. So South has bid 5 diamonds, non-vulnerable, you are vulnerable, and it's your choice of calls. So this is your 5-level decision, and we will revisit that after we've been looking at preempts in Preemptember. So let's go. Bear with me while I just change a little bit on like that. Okay. So week 2s, let's just talk about some of the things we have. So that's what we've been focusing on. And like last week, we talked about bad suits. So I'm just going to put up the whole screen there. So my view of things is be a little bit careful with bad suits. I did see over the weekend that I've just been on at the Ardington on one of our gourmet events, and the food was lovely, I have to say. The food was really lovely, and great company as well. But I did see some interesting week 2s. I have to say, I saw 1 suit headed by the 10 with 2 side suit aces, which for me is not a great descriptive bid. My partner also did a week 2. I didn't mind it in the end. I did double the opponents in game later, and they made it, so it cheered up my opponents. But again, it was an aggressive week 2. What you do have to remember is you are in a partnership, though. And that's the most important thing. So if you're in a regular partnership, discuss what your style is. Non-vulnerable, let's be aggressive. Vulnerable, let's be constructive. It's up to you, but make sure you know. If you're an individual playing with another individual, I would tend to stick within the rules. What I mean by that is maybe 6 to 10 points and a decent suit. We discussed those suits at the very first Monday of the month. I discussed what I regarded as a decent suit. Because remember, if you end up preempting your partner, if you've got a decent suit, you've given a good description of your hand. And that's the key. So if in doubt with a bad suit, tend probably to leave it, and particularly if you're vulnerable. For me, if my partner makes a vulnerable preempt, preempt, I'm expecting a good suit, not just a half good suit. Okay. Okay, always remember though, if you do ever make a weak 2, then to be honest, if you have a fit with your partner, it'll tend to work. If you don't, it won't. And so I love to have a weak 2 that works both ways, that's all. Okay, here's your first one. This was sent in by Jeff. East, west are vulnerable, so you are vulnerable with this hand, and it's your choice. And bear in mind that you are playing weak 2s. So if you have chosen to play weak 2s, then if you fit in with the description of the hand and you have a decent suit, oh, sorry, thank you. Have I not even put that up the whole time? Oh dear. So that was the first page I had put up, which was just basically reminding ourselves that if we've got a bad suit, be a bit careful. But there was the first hand. So as I say, Jeff sent this one in. Dealer, you are dealer, and east-west are vulnerable. So 9 points, and I think it's a decent suit. Queen Jack 9. It might sound silly, but that 9 for me makes the difference. Queen Jack 10 or Queen Jack 9, I think that is a perfectly reasonable suit. With the Ace Jack together, the Jack of Diamonds, I don't mind if you've got it or you haven't, but I would feel that fits in okay. Yes, you are vulnerable against not, but I'd feel it's a decent hand. I mean, how would you describe your hand? And this is the key for me. If you were to describe your hand, I would say to my partner, I've got between 6 and 10 points and I've got a good spade suit, because I would regard that as a good spade suit. Take the 9 away and make it the 4, and that's enough for me not to like it. But I would regard Queen... So in a way, one of the ways of looking at it, I suppose, is if you would have chosen to lead an honour, then you can bid it. So here with Queen Jack 9, I would lead the Queen. In which case, maybe my suit is good enough to go for it, okay? Queen Jack 9-8 would be perhaps more desirable. So I think I would have opened... I mean, let me just show you that what happened on the hand. And I tell you what, I will open up the 2 because we're going to see the partner's hand as well, because it's quite a powerful hand. So the auction went to spades, and not unreasonably, East was a bit upset by this, because obviously East has a spectacular hand. In fact, we'll have to try and work out 22 points. But that is okay. For me, it's fine. You've got a good description. You're expecting your partner to have a good hand. And to be honest, I think it makes the auction relatively straightforward for you, a vulnerable against not preempt, because you can just bid 4 no trumps, and if you're missing 2 key cards, you don't go for the slam. It turns out on the hand that North did have the King of Spades, and you could manage 6 hearts. But I think, I think if you're missing the King of Spades and an Ace, you don't want to be in the slam. If the best it can possibly be is 50-50, and that is if you play in 6 hearts. But I would have thought that bidding 4 no trumps, finding you're missing... I mean, let me just show you. I would bid 4 no trumps straight away, thinking, look, if you've got 2 of the key cards, so either 2 aces or an ace and a king, I'm going to go for it. Okay. Yeah, you could just about, I think, have bid... 2 no trumps first, because maybe if partner had said no, so let's just go back there. I think that's not unreasonable. I mean, the only problem, I mean, I suppose partner might have a void, but I think probably it's not unreasonable to bid 2 no trumps just to see if partner is strong. But I think partner is going to... Oh, God, sorry. Apologies. Pressed the wrong button there. So it goes 2 spades, 2 no trumps, and I think West here will say they've got a decent hand for 3 hearts. Partner, I've got a strong hand. Not a great suit, but a strong hand. And I guess you could imagine partner could be... I mean, you should surely have 2 honours most of the time, but there's no doubt partner could have 2 key cards here. So you'd bid 4 no trumps, I think. and partner would just show one key card. And I think you settle. Do you settle for 4 spades or 5 hearts or 5 spades? I think you might get confused if you bid 5 hearts here. That might be some kind of ask for the queen or whatever if you play key card, Roman key card or whatever. So you need to be careful. So 5 spades here. As it happens, 5 hearts. Because of the way the spades divided, I'll just show you that North did in fact have king to 3, so in 5 hearts you've got the opportunity of taking the spade finesse, and that's all you need. So you would be able to make 12 tricks in hearts, but in spades of course you'd have to lose the king of spades. You know, I think it's not you know, you've got an 8 card spade fit and only a 7 card heart fit, so it seems reasonable to be in spades, and that, you know, you've got pretty solid spades as well. So I think you were just a little bit unlucky. I don't think I think most people will open a week 2 and finish in 5 spades. Because you may even find in the auction that because West bid spades twice, you may well settle into it. So even if West passed, it's going to go a strong 2 heart opening. So 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 2 spades, 3 hearts, 3 spades maybe. And then I think you'd agree spades and bid Blackwood. I think you'll have the same auction. I think most auctions are going to finish in 5 spades. So, it just so happens on this occasion. Okay, so I think it's a reasonable description of your hand, and it doesn't actually upset partner. I mean, it shouldn't do. Your partner should be happy enough thinking, okay, great, we're vulnerable against Not. Partner should have a decent hand here, and I'm not worried about playing at the 5 level, because, you know, if he's got a hand that doesn't make it good playing at the 5 level, then it's his fault. He shouldn't be doing it. Okay, this is the next one. I think this came up from last week's teams, actually. Yeah, I think it is. It's the prize teams. So what did you fancy with that hand? I just think on these kind of hands, so north-south vulnerable. You are non-vulnerable this time and opening the bidding. You are non-vulnerable and opening the bidding against vulnerable opponents. So what do you think on this one? And in many ways, you could say this is more of a question for Fridays, as in, is it, you know, what opening bid are you making? For me, it looks like a 1 heart opener, and particularly because I don't like preempting with a 5-4 card spade suit on the side. So I think 2 hearts is telling 2 lies in a way. The key, remember, we cut the jack in half, the jack singleton here, but at the same time, the extra shape you have makes the hand look like an opening bid. And for me, the crucial part of the hand is the 10 and 9 of hearts. If I was ace jack 6, 4, 3, 2, I'd feel, ooh, looks a bit ugly. Those jacks, perhaps, maybe I would even pass. So then I would pass. But I think with ace jack 10, 9, I would have opened 1 heart. If I remember at our table, I think at our table we had a pass. I think it was passed at our table. And then we, north-south, were able to have a constructive auction. But as I say, I would have opened 1 heart here. Let's just see let's just see how the opponents manage. So it went 1 heart, 2 diamonds, and I think this is what happened at the other table. Double shows the unbid major, so that shows spades, but South chose to bid spades anyway, which is odd. I'm not sure I would necessarily do that. Can you see that East's double shows spades? South bids 2 spades, I think. Ooh, would you bid again with the West hand non-vulnerable with 6 hearts? Maybe, let's do it. Why not? And I think what happens then is you may well, and this is what happened at the other table. Well, let's see, they're still trying to get in the auction. They might find their club fit. Well done. Well, Q Plus has done really well there, because they have managed still to find the club fit. They haven't bid the game, but they have at least found the club fit. Whereas we got to 5 clubs. I think this may have even been the last hand, was it? I can't remember. Yeah, no, it may have been the last hand. Because we were given the opportunity to sort of bid both suits a little bit more easily, because of course it was a 1 diamond opening. But I think that's relatively normal, opening 1 heart there. And again, it's a style thing. Change the vulnerability, who knows? But again, I do not like preempting with a 4 card major on the start side. So if in doubt, you know, for me, it's more sensible to bid constructively than it is to bid destructively. And as remember, 1 heart means, oh partner, let's try and win. Yeah, I've got sympathy with an unusual 2 no trumpers as well, Alan. I think that's the best way of getting your hand off the chest. The computer decided on a I'll just show you the hand again. They're just, you know, decided on a 2 diamond bid because they wanted to show 6 and then 5. The idea being that, in fact, if I was going to do that, and if it had gone 1 heart, 2 diamonds, maybe 2 hearts, etc., and they'd bid hearts, you could rebid no trumps to show both minors. I quite like a direct 2 no trumps. And actually, if your partner jumped to 4 clubs in the auction, then in fact North could easily have bid the 5th club. It's just the relative strength of the hand, and it depends how you play your 2 suited overcalls, because that North hand is just a 5 loser hand if you find a fit, isn't it? That's the crucial thing. And so is it too strong for some people to bid them? Okay, let's look at the last one. And actually this came up some time ago, and again, let's just see whether you fancy that one. I should say teams on it, yeah. So this was a teams one. This is North opening the bidding non-vulnerable. Non-vulnerable. And you know, I guess if you take the 10 and 9 of spades away and made them the 3 and 2 here, you may still open, but you've got to understand that when you've got 9 points here, when you've got 9 points, there is a fairly good chance that the hand will be a part score hand. And that is why we want the quality of suit to be good. So I like this hand. With King 10-9, I believe it's good enough, so I am going to do it. But if you take the 10-9 away and make them small, you might think, oh, I still want to preempt. But let's say your partner's got 10 or 11 points. It's 20-20. And the quality of your suit's going to make a big difference. So just, you know, just be a little bit careful. And particularly, of course, if you get that sort of 4-1 break against you, and one of, you know, you'll suddenly find you're losing 3 or 4 trump tricks and things are not going to be so rosy. But I like this. King 10-9 for me is a perfectly decent suit, particularly non-vulnerable. So I would certainly open that one. And if I just move the hand on there, you may or may not remember this one, but we had this one. This one came up, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, maybe. So interestingly, North has chosen to pass there, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to restart. So I would open 2 spades. For me, that is a good descriptive bid. As Ruben says, there's 2 doubletons, and the Queen doubleton's not an ideal holding. It's not an ideal holding. And then we had again, and this is what's so wonderful about bridge, you've got all sorts of different ways of bidding, but one East chose 3 clubs. I have to say, I think the most flexible bid was double there. And then of course South's got the option and may well bid 3 spades. I think, you know, and then it's West's turn to bid. And the West at R's bid 3 no trumps. Do you know, I might just pass it with that hand. It's an interesting one, isn't it, with the West hand? I might just pass it, but I think it will go pass and then double again, and then West has to make the decision whether to bid 3N or pass. I think 3 spades doubled is going to be very close to making. To be honest, I think you've got a fair chance of making it if you get it right. So you'd probably want to be in, but 3 no trumps went a quite a long way down as well. I think if I remember, against 3 no trumps, we'll put them in 3 no trumps. But I think what happened was we got the 10 of spades lead, and after quite a long time I ducked it, and we decided that that was the best way. Not unreasonably, West won the trick, but in the end now, of course, we ended up taking the ace of clubs and 5 spade tricks. Partner was able to lead a spade to my ace, and partner had the king 9. And unusually for me, I got it slightly accurately, because I did say, well, just in case, I'm going to duck the first trick just in case de Clouer has queen jack 8 of spades, and here it makes a difference, because if we put the ace up, then it doesn't work so well. I'll just show you that. So if the 10 of spades is led here, if we put the ace up, of course de Clouer can play the queen of spades on the next hand. And of course it's our partner who's going to get the lead first. So let's say partner wins it. Partner can't play another spade. Yep, so maybe partner ducks it. But if partner ducks it, then he's going to get the lead first in clubs, which does mean that he can't lead a spade without giving a spade trick away. So he'll play a diamond, but at that point de Clouer has got home. Can you see the difference? De Clouer's now got his 9 tricks. He's got 3 tricks made, and he makes 4 clubs and the ace king of hearts. If you'd actually kept a heart, you'd have made the jack of hearts as well, but that's another matter. I think it was just relatively normal. But that was some time ago, that hand. But you can see there's so many decisions to make in terms of week 2s. And as I say, even if you're a single player, as a single player, discuss with yourself how you're going to play your week 2s. But actually, it's not a bad thing if you're sitting down with someone and you both say week 2s, you know, actually following that with, well, how shall we play them? Do you play them aggressive, non-vulnerable, non-aggressive? You know, it's an important discussion. You can obviously play individually. If you're an aggressive player, bid it that way, etc. But the point is that it's quite useful for the partnership to know how they play. And obviously, you've got to tell your opponents that as well. Okay, so that is Preemptember. We've got to the end of it. I hope you had some fun. Of course, keep preempting, but I just like to put a spotlight on it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this next month we are going to focus on obviously the pairs game and greed over, and we will be very much looking and very much looking at that. We're focusing on the part scores, and you know, and looking for the extra 10 points. It's crazy, isn't it, the scoring system? It really is crazy, but you've got scores of 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, and those increments of 10 make such a difference. And if we can get on the right side of those ones, your scores go flying up. You know, quite often it can be hard to assess your scores with the part scores. And that's what we have to try and do when dummy comes down. Does that make sense? So dummy comes down and you're in a part score and you've got to assess what the traveller is going to be. Is 110 going to get you a good enough score, or do you have to go for the over trick in clubs to make 130? And as you get better at doing that, you know, you'll hopefully improve your scores. Of course, we're going to be making the most of them. Okay, let me just go back here then. Let's just remind ourselves. I'm just going to quickly put the auction that we had up there. So a reminder, your partner had splintered. So it's shown a singleton diamond and 4-card hearts support here. Also, obviously, your partner is saying that she can make a game in hearts. Now, the vulnerability is such that, first and foremost, I hope you know we can't pass here. That's crucial. We have said as a partnership that we can make 4 hearts. That's what my partner has said. 4 diamonds. Partner, look, we're going to make 4 hearts. Should we be in a slam? We made the decision that we didn't want to be in a slam because our diamonds are so short and we haven't got many extra points. But at the same time, we do have to carry on bidding. Now, bear in mind you have nothing in diamonds between you. Your partner should have 11 high card points. As a minimum. So that means you have your 12 and your partner's 11. That's 23 points across across the other 3 suits. And that's a minimum. So for me, your partner had a choice of bids over 5 diamonds. If your partner was completely minimum, I would have expected him or her to double 5 diamonds. So because essentially, remember, we're in a forcing auction. We are not allowed as a partnership to pass out 5 diamonds because we have said we're going to make 620 points. Really, really important that. It's a forcing pass. So I think West, and remember, he's already shown a singleton, so it's not as if he's got extra distribution. I think with a minimum hand, he should double 5 diamonds saying, look, partner, I'm minimum. You can make a decision. So it doesn't show anything exciting. It just says, partner, I'm minimum for my splinters. So I would expect partner probably more likely to be around the 13 or 14 points, in which case I think we are likely to be able to make 5 hearts. You might think that 5 diamonds is going to go a long way off. Well, remember, your opponents have 10 diamonds between them. Why didn't South bid over your 1 heart bid? I think because he's probably got rubbishy diamonds. Remember, North has suggested the ace king maybe. Partner, lead a diamond. That's what the double meant. So a double of a splinter doesn't say, oh, partner, let's bid. It's really just saying lead a diamond. It's a good lead. I mean, here's the full hand. And remember, we have to make a choice between double and 5 hearts. But for me, I would just bid 5 hearts here. I'm not trying to make a slam or anything like that. I'm just saying that, you know, and if you look at the West hand there, so if you look at the West hand, that's the kind of hand I'm expecting. He's a bit stronger than he needs to be. You know, maybe take the Queen of Clubs out, and with just 11 points in a singleton, I would want my partner to double to say, look, I'm not sure whether we can necessarily make 5, because if you don't fit with my double, if my splinter, you know, I've got nothing extra. But here, West has got a nice hand, and so passing forces us to make the decision. And I think, remember that 5 hearts, if it makes, is worth 650 points. So you can see how weak the South hand is. So South has decided not to bid on the first round. Now, some of you might be overly aggressive and jump to 3 diamonds, but it is only a 1 count. So I think passing is reasonable. But when his partner doubled the splinter, I quite like the 5 diamond bid from South here. And of course, it's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, what do they lose? They just lose 4 tricks. 4 tricks, that's all they lose. 2 clubs. Remember, the ace of spades is right for them. So as long as they lead up to the king and lead up to the queen, they would just lose 4 tricks. And what that means is it's just 300 points is all 5 diamonds costs. So if we double it, we'd only get 300 instead of 650. As you can see in 5 hearts, you've got 10 tricks off the top and you'll make 1 diamond ruff. And what's interesting is, and this is the key about fitting, if you move the 4 of spades into the diamond suit in the east hand, well then of course the east hand fits a lot better because you would get 2 diamond ruffs, or at least the potential of 2 diamond ruffs. But if it looks ostensibly at the start, you might think you've got a couple of spade losers, but of course the clubs are lovely and solid and you can discard 1 there. So 650 points. In theory, if you can see all the cards and you're willing to get, you know, if double dummy, it'll tell you that 6 diamonds is the optimum contract. But of course, the key is they forced us to make a decision. And remember, your job at the 5 level is always to give the opponents the last guess. So I think South's done really well to bid 5 diamonds. He's forced us to make a decision. We happen to have got it right this time, but on another occasion, East might have doubled and only got 300 points. So 6 diamonds is just, I mean, it'll work on this hand. As I say, 6 diamonds doubled is only 500. So it does get you a good score, but in the long run, that kind of bidding, where you give your opponents 2 bites of the cherry, will not work out well for you. Wow, so lots going on there. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's just show you the bidding quiz. There we go. Still on that theme of weak jump overcalls. You open a diamond, a weak jump overcall of 3 clubs, double from partner pass. Oh, this looks nasty. 1 diamond, 3 clubs, double for takeout pass, and it's your bid. So have a think about that one. And you can get the answer as usual on the website. Don't forget, we've always got our usual holidays. I think the focus is on the reboot maybe this time. Reboot your Declare a Play. So that's a great way of starting the new year, I have to say. And I've been told to mention that there's the 1 room, I think, available on the gourmet event at Two Bridges and down in our country house event at Passmore House in Lymington in the New Forest there. So, you know, a couple of events where there's just 1 room left. So do have a look at that. Usually that means that we've had 1 pair or something like that drop out. So, and it's lovely if we can then fill the room and get some of their money back, as it were. So do look at those events on BNB Holidays. Remember, you can see the bidding quiz as well. So I'll say goodbye and welcome to Gridoba for next week. And if you want to see me on Friday or Wednesday we got the teams as usual, and on Friday, of course, we're talking the opening bid. Okay, the opening bid. So thanks very much for your company, and I'll see some of you hopefully at Denham as well. Remember, I am live on Friday because Denham's only about 40 minutes for me, so I do the Friday live as usual and then head on up to Denham Grove for our bridge weekend there, and of course our charity cakes and things like that. Thanks for your company, and see you again soon.